Howdy, guys, and welcome back to the Five Guys podcast. Today, we will be recapping Monday's podcast of the 25 life-changing rules and principles. Probably one of our best podcasts. I might be biased. I may say this every week, but I think it was one of our best, if not the best podcast, one that I'm going to have on repeat for the end of time. Anyway, with that being said, Chris, howdy. Welcome back to the podcast. Co-host, the man himself, Chris Monzon. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good, man. How are you? How has your week been?
It has been good. I've been implementing like crazy, like a madman, a scientist at work. So it's been good. It's been good at least. At least I can say it's been good. So I'm going to get a win of the week too.
Wonderful.
If I'm being
honest.
excited
to hear it.
You're gonna be disappointed. It's a good win of the week for me, but it's not like I'm not going to Disneyland or nothing like that. So, but it's still a good win of the week. So anyway, that's for the end of the pod. And we will not forget about the viewer mailbag as well. You know how we do it. If you're new on Friday, we recap Monday's pod. We do the viewer mailbag, and then we do win of the week. So that's what we're doing. With that being said, let's get right into Monday's recap. I'm excited. Yeah. Where do we even start, Chris? Where should we start? Should we start with the key takeaways?
Yeah, I would like to start with the key takeaways. We'll talk about the mindset shifts, the personal growth, the health and well-being, and then some empowerment and action. Those are the 4 sections that we broke those 25 down into. And first, we start out with mindset shift, and we really discussed the importance of moving from passive to active thinking. And then we also talked about the importance of, taking ownership and focusing on self-improvement over external validation. I think those are the biggest takeaways that we talked about in those 9 rules that we talked there. And I know each one of us, we went back, we found what our favorite 2 rules or maybe 1 rule was from each section. So we'll go through that here in a little bit. And I'm excited to hear what your top 2 mindset shift stops were. But what did we talk about for personal growth? What was the big takeaway there?
Personal growth, it was a lot about prioritizing yourself, right? Oftentimes we live in this people-pleasing society. In fact, that's one of the ones I favorited for today's that I'm going to talk about a little bit later. But prioritizing yourself and embracing discomfort. That were the key takeaways, as well as developing like healthy discipline muscle, we'll call it. Because discipline is a muscle. Let's be honest. It's a muscle. It's not this fugazi, it's a woozy, it's a wazi. Little Wolf of Wall Street reference there for you. But it's actually a thing, right? It's not a physical muscle, but somewhere in this brain, in this body of mine, there is a discipline muscle, right? And you got to continue to flex that and work that muscle out. And that was one of the key takeaways for me from the personal growth chapter in Monday's podcast. How it's not something that you can just do once. You have to continue to train it, and you have to continue to work on yourself and operate as the leader of yourself, right? You got to prioritize yourself. You got to prioritize your time, your money, your health. And a lot of times we don't do that. And we know we should be doing that. We also talked a little bit about health and well-being, right? Do you want to take on the key takeaways from health and well-being?
Yeah, of course, I'd be happy to. So what we really learned there was why taking care of your body and surrounding yourself with the right people is a critical choice in your long-term happiness. Too often are we willing to sacrifice our physical health or our mental health in order to maybe satisfy somebody else. But when you do that, you might be able to help yourself a little bit on the short term, might feel better on the short term, but on the long term, it's going to destroy you. And without health, what do you really have? I think we could all remember a time where we maybe had the flu or a stomach bug or something like that.
And you would give
anything just to feel normal. Like, I don't care like what your life is. You might be hating your job, waking up at 4 a.m. to go to a terrible job for 6 hours or 10 hours, and then go home at the end of the day. But just imagine how much worse that would be if you had the flu and you had to go to work.
That's so true. That's so true. Life can always get worse, guys. Like, that's what we don't realize. Like, life can always get worse. So let's just appreciate how good it is right now. And that might be the optimist in me talking, but life is all about how you view it. What perspective are you viewing this world through? What lens are you watching this movie through? Right?
There's an old Buddhist saying that is, there is nothing so bad in life that you can't make it worse, or that you can't make it worse. Like anything, the worst situation you can think of, I guarantee you can make it worse if you decide to.
Yeah.
You could be in a slasher movie, someone's chasing you with a chainsaw, and then you decide to break your own leg. Like, you could choose to do that. You could make it a worse situation.
Yeah. Things can always get worse, but things can always get better too. So that's good.
And they should. Well, you want to talk to me about empowerment and action? What our key takeaways from that was?
Yeah. We talked a lot about silencing the noise. We live in a very, very busy world. If you've been connected to the internet for the last 20 years, you know that it's only gotten noisier. It's only been busier. And you're probably wondering, Dom, who's not connected to the internet? I swear to you, I'm not doing a joke, not even doing a bit here. God bless my dad. I love my dad. He's a great guy. He's in Minnesota right now. There's no internet. There's no Wi-Fi up there. He's been there for like 6 months. He's chilling. Right? So for some of us, it's not getting noisier, but for most of us, it is getting quite noisy, especially the place between the two ears up there in the brain, right? You're getting a lot of input on what you should be, where you should be, how far along you should be. And oftentimes that is just analysis paralysis on steroids. Oh my goodness. It's so important to just take some time and just be with your own mind, not just the surface level mind that you hear your inner thoughts every day, but the deeper subconscious level mind as well. Only in silence, only in meditation, only in being one with yourself and being out, right? Can you really start to hear what that inner monologue is begging you for oftentimes if you've been neglecting it? I don't want to pick favorites over which chapter was my favorite last week or Monday, but this one was definitely one of my favorite ones. So, with that being said, do you want to get right into our favorites, our favorite
Yeah.
lines of each one
Yeah,
of them?
let's
Let's
go
do
to
it.
our lines. Let's first start off with segment one, where we go mindset shifts. And then every time we do it, let's start it with your entire life will change the moment you, and then go. So I think
Yeah.
you chose the first one. So I'd say, what do you got?
So, your entire life will change once you stop gathering more information and start acting on the information that you already have. You
Why
don't
did
need
this one
any
speak
more
to you
information.
most?
Yeah.
Why did this one speak to you the most, Dom?
Why did this one? So, I try a lot, right? One of my superpowers is that I never give up. I never quit. I never give up, right? That's my superpower. If you have your superpower, Chris, I feel like from a spectator's perspective, one of Chris's perspective superpowers is that he can listen to books at like 4 times speed, so he can consume knowledge a lot faster, right? I love that, right? My superpower to me is I can't quit. I refuse to quit. I'll always never quit. So that's what I that's what I embody, right? So why does this one speak to me the most? Oftentimes when I'm starting something new, I'm waiting for the right opportunity. I'm waiting for to have more information. I'm waiting for, oh man, I need probably a mentor in this area. I probably need to read some more books in this area. I need to listen to some more podcasts on this video, on this topic or this business or this idea. And for me, I don't. There's only so much you can learn before you're capped out on a certain topic, before you have to actually go out and do it. And oftentimes, we never even end up going out and doing it, which is crazy because I know a lot of people who they know a lot of stuff in this one topic, but they've never applied any of it. And it's so bizarre. It's very sad to have the information, to have the answers to the test and bomb the test. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. So, your life is going to change when you stop gathering more information about what you want to do, who you want to be, and you just start becoming and being that person. That's my favorite one from the mindset shift. That's my
You
first
know,
favorite one.
that kind of took me to a place. There's a whole schism right now happening on social media if you follow jujitsu. So for jujitsu people, like every martial arts likes to fight to say like I have the best martial arts, right?
Yeah.
And it's really not a competition. Like all martial arts are good. Even the silly ones, like they're good. They treat you something. But there's been a big fight between jujitsu and Filipino martial arts. So Filipino martial arts is using weapons, usually sticks, knives, whatever you can, to kill your opponent as quickly as you possibly can. Jiu-jitsu is using your body, your leverage, and control in order to dismember your opponent. Different bones, different whatever, chokes and submissions. So when you were talking about just talking about the information but never implementing it, a lot of the Filipino martial arts people are like, it's better than jujitsu because it is direct kills. But when you actually think about it, jujitsu practitioners, whenever we fight with somebody, whenever we roll, even if you're rolling with a friend, you're going damn near 100% every time trying to finish your partner off. So you know without a shadow of a doubt that your thing works, your martial art works because you practice it every single day you go into the gym. Every day that I practice does my arm bar work, I am taking it to its logical conclusion until my partner taps. And if they don't, then their arm's going to break. I don't break arms. Like I know where it's going to stop. So I'll stop there and be like, you've tapped. But in Filipino martial arts, people be like, our martial arts better. But what they can't say is they can't say, I have 1,000 different tries of me gouging people's eyes out. I have 1,000 different tries of me slicing someone's carotid artery. You only have that in your mind. In your mind, it works out perfectly. But in jujitsu, we know it works out perfectly because we've tested it 1,000 different times, 1,000 different iterations with 1,000 different partners who all gave us different looks.
Mhm.
Every time that I try pulling someone's arm when I'm in the armbar, they're going to be maybe stronger than me. They're going to have a different way of holding a grip. Maybe it's an S grip, maybe it's a gable grip. Maybe they interlock their fingers, which they shouldn't do, but maybe they all have a different way. But I have to be able to break that grip in order to extend the arm every single time. Where someone who only does Filipino martial arts, they don't really know because you're not going around murdering people every single time you want to practice your martial art.
Yeah, yeah. I think more people um, get in fights where the jujitsu would be more useful, I would think, than the other version of it. You know,
I
I don't
mean,
know.
don't get me wrong. If I knew how to like knife fight and stuff like that, yeah, I'd rather have a knife in that situation. But
Yeah,
with Filipino martial arts, like you need to have a weapon. But at all times when you're walking around the street, do you have a weapon on you? I don't know. I don't.
I
Like I
do.
would rather just have my body be the weapon.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, that makes sense. That makes sense. I can understand that. I can understand the clash between the both of them and the different disciplines and how they're applied in the modern world.
Yeah,
And
I
please
think we
go.
also need to remember that everyone's right. Your martial art is great. Every one of us, every one of you is correct. Just some
Yeah.
are better than the others.
I love it. I love it. So, what was your favorite take from the segment one of the mindset shift?
My favorite one was stop complaining about things you can't control and start taking ownership over the things you can.
Exactly. That's why you bring a knife with you at all times, right? You
Yep.
can't make
Yep.
excuses for
I'm not
not
going to
learning.
complain that they have a knife. I'm going to pull out my knife.
Exactly. And you got to make sure it's bigger too. Maybe get an extendable. I don't know. Figure something
Yeah.
out.
I just pull
Okay.
out
So stop.
that's not a knife. That's a
This
knife.
is a knife. I love it. I hope that people are getting these references. It breaks my heart if we're just like hitting these references and they're just like, I don't know. Uh, the pop culture references, we love them here.
Yep.
So yours was stop complaining about things you can't control and start taking ownership. Interesting. A little bit of a Jocko Willing quote, if I
I,
may.
I would say if there's some essential books that I would say changed my life, definitely Extreme Ownership is on there.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, 1000%. It's probably up there in one of the top two. But there's so many things in life that we always sit there and we complain. I think back a lot when me and my spouse, me and my wife, we we weren't always in such a good place where we like, are always happy. We don't fight for anything. And I remember a lot of the times it would be like, she's doing this thing. She's doing this thing wrong.
Mhm,
And I was unable to see myself and what am I doing wrong? And once I was finally able to look at that and take extreme ownership, I was able to see like, oh, you know what? It's me. I'm causing something that's causing her to react the way that she's reacting. Is the way she's reacting perfect? No, it's definitely not. And she could have definitely improved on that. But the way that she was reacting was because of what I was doing. And I can't control my wife. No one can control anyone. All I can do is control myself and the way that I show up. So once I was able to kind of do that, everything in my life changed. Every single aspect had changed once I stopped complaining about the way the life was, when I stopped being a victim and I
mhm,
started actually being the hero, when I started taking ownership of every single thing. Even when I got hit by a car and broke my back, the moment I took ownership of that and said, had I been somewhere else, had I moved faster, had I reacted quicker, because while it may not have been my fault that I got hit, it is now my responsibility to get better. It's my responsibility to go to physical therapy. It's my responsibility to work on all those things. The guy that hit me is not going to deal with any of that stuff. I have to
no,
take ownership of my life.
absolutely. So you think a great place to start, obviously, stop complaining, right? Taking ownership of things that are in your sphere and out of your sphere, and also reading the book or listening to the book Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. That's a good place.
I would say so. Yeah,
I would say
that'd be a good spot to. I don't think you go
that's a
wrong there.
mandatory read. That's
Yeah, I don't
100%
think
a
you go
mandatory
wrong
read.
there.
100%. We need a book. We need a book list. You know, I feel like we should have a book list in like the description of like these are like mandatory reads and like, you know, top 5 books for finance, top 5 books for like personal growth, for like, you know, I
That's a
don't
good
know.
idea.
No,
I've thought about doing that. I think that's a good
yep.
idea.
Okay. And just floating it, floating it. So my second favorite one of Mindset Shift in segment 1 of Monday's podcast. If you didn't already go listen to it, I highly recommend it. We are brushing over lightly on Monday's podcast, lightly salted, you know? There's so much great information in Monday's podcast. I listen, I'm not one to say turn off the podcast, but I'm saying exit this podcast and go listen to Mondays if you haven't already listened to it. It's a banger. Now,
And then come back.
And then come back. And you're back. Welcome back. How was your time? What was your favorite one? So my second favorite one from Mindset Shift was stop holding yourself to someone else's standard and start creating your own standard. If you're in the right circles in life, everyone around you will be better than you in one way or the other. Chris is way ahead of me in other areas. I'm ahead of him in certain areas too, hopefully. Anyway, no, but it's so easy to compare yourself to other people's standards, right? Wow, this guy gets up early. Wow, this guy, he doesn't even drink milk. It's probably a bad standard. Drink your milk, you person. I don't know. But stop playing other people's game is what I got out of that one. Oftentimes, we're playing society's game. We're playing what your parents want for you's game. We're playing your friend group's game. Oh, they're getting married. They're getting boyfriends. They're getting girlfriends. That's what I should be doing. That you're playing their game, right? Set the rules for your game. Set the standards for your game, and play your own world. Play your own game, right? Because they're having different reactions. They're having different moments. They have different parents than you. They have different experiences than you. Their game isn't even remotely close to yours. So why would you compare it? Why would you play their game? It just doesn't make any sense. So for me, that was my second favorite one. It could be my first favorite one. I'm not gonna lie. It is very good. So yeah, that is your life will start changing when you stop holding yourself to someone else's standards and start creating your own standards to live up to.
I like it. I like it a lot. My next favorite one for Mindset Shift is stop focusing on what you don't have and start expressing gratitude for what you do have. I think too often do people go through life looking at other people's stuff and saying, I want that. And they go through life with envy or with greed, saying, I wish I had those things. I wish I had those things. And you don't realize all the things that you do have. And the more time you're focused on the things you don't have, the harder it's going to be for you to live a life of abundance, for you to know what enough is. And I think I brought it up in Monday's pod, but I'm bringing it up again. Seneca, the Stoic philosopher, once said, being poor isn't about having too little. It's about wanting more.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Yeah. To know when enough is enough is so powerful, especially in finance, especially in America. Because as Americans, we are greedy little bastards. I hate to use that kind of language, but we are way too greedy sometimes.
We're definitely an R-rated podcast, so you can cuss as much as you want. I drop the occasional F-bomb here and there.
Yeah. But the kids, Chris, the kids are listening.
That's true.
I'll be PG. I'll be PG. Chris is like the older brother. He'll be the older brother. I'll be the younger brother. I won't cuss. He's gonna be cussing. No,
I think dropping the occasional cuss word like really cements like when I'm trying to be serious. Like this is serious. I'm cussing. Yep. That's how serious it is.
That's true. It's like when a really calm person gets mad. You're like, whoa, it's real now. Whoa. I know that sounded really sarcastic. My reaction was, whoa, he's angry. It's like, no. The people understand. Anyway. So, did you have a second favorite one?
Yeah, I just talked about it, the personal growth, right?
No, number 4.
Stop focusing on what you don't have and start expressing gratitude for that you do have. We just talked about that.
We just talked about that, Dom. We just talked about that. Are you paying attention, guys? I hope you are more than me. Because trust me, I'm in my own head sometimes thinking. Sometimes I get lost in thought. And I will say, getting lost in thought is good. It's good for the mind, good for ideas. It's not the best for a podcast, but let's move on.
It's okay. We're getting better. We do it live. Let's
do it live.
Segment number 2, personal growth and development. And I want you to start again. What was your highlight on personal growth and it being an ongoing journey. I really like what you talked about earlier during the highlight where you were talking about sometimes you just have to do something hard. You have to embrace that discomfort and build up that inner discipline to achieve your long-term success. And when you were saying, you said there's a part of the brain, maybe a part of the body that grows when you do hard things. And I was trying to remember what it was, so I Googled it. It's called the interior mid-singular or cingulate cortex.
Mm,
Interior mid-cingulate cortex. It's a part of the brain that actually grows in proportion to you doing harder things. And, I think about this every day because every day I cold plunge, right?
yeah.
And my cold plunge, it's at 40 degrees. And I tell myself I have to do 40 minutes at 40 degrees. And the reason
Four
I choose
minutes.
4 minutes at 40
Yeah.
degrees. And the reason I chose 40 degrees is because it's enough pain for me to not want to do it, like to not really want to do it. And also,
Yeah.
I've made it worse in that 4 minutes doesn't start until I dunk my head. So I have to submerge fully for 4 minutes to begin. Um,
That's
so
crazy. I
I know,
love it
I know,
though.
but
And part of it,
I
I hate to
oh,
interrupt you like this, but if it wasn't crazy, would you do it? I don't think you'd do it. It has to be a little bit crazy. It has to be a
I,
little bit tough.
I think if it was easy, then there wouldn't be a point to it.
No.
It's
No.
you're doing hard things, and I also do it with an Alexa, so I have to speak to her to tell her to turn on. So that means after I dunk, I have to regain my breath to talk. But every day I get inside this thing, and it's only 4 minutes. And I was telling my friend like I had to move it to a different part of the day, midday, because in the morning it was taking too long. And he was like, "What do you mean? You said you only do it for 4 minutes. How does it take too long?" And I was like, "Bro, you don't understand how hard it is to get inside of that thing. Like the
Yeah.
mental fortitude to talk to yourself, to not bitch out." And then the moment that I get inside there, I sit all the way down, and now I have to hold my nose and dunk my head and like lean all the way back. I probably in that water for a good 8 minutes because there's 4 minutes of me just sitting there, like praying to God that I don't die when I lean my head back. And every time that I do, I realize it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. But I have to go
Yeah.
through that every single day.
Yeah. I'm thinking about starting a new challenge. The 120 at 120, more of a hot tub challenge. So not the same. Not It's just for us lazy people. Yeah, 120 degrees for 120 minutes. By the end I should be a cooked lobster. But
I was gonna say 2 hours in the jacuzzi would be awful. That'd be painful too.
that would suck. But it's a different level of suck. And that's obviously I'm just joking, just poking fun. But yeah, I highly recommend anybody to just get in a cold plunge. Just try it. It sucks. And
And
it's
if you don't
great.
have it, just turn your shower to its coldest knob and just sit there. And then you'll get a portion of what a cold plunge is.
If you'll know it's cold. See, that's the problem because like I've flipped the shower all the way to the cold. And we live in Arizona, right? So it doesn't get that cold really. Um, and then I'll go to my gym and I'll get in the cold plunge every now and again, right? And the temperature difference is crazy because as soon as you get in, your muscles start tingling, and you're like, oh, this is.
Hmm.
You get it out, and you're like, oh, why is everything numb? Everything is so numb. What is this? So yeah, that's. I don't know how we got talking on cold plunges for about 8 minutes straight, but yeah, we
This is
love.
what we do by Friday feedback.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Hey, it's better than sinking in a lava pit in Mustafar, right? Anyway,
There it is.
there it is. There's the Star Wars reference. I've been waiting on it all week. I have been. So we talked a little bit about personal growth from segment 2 of last week's pod. Obviously, mine was stop waiting for things in life. Stop waiting for things in life. Oh, I'm out of it right now. I make one Star Wars reference, and now it's all I think about.
It's okay.
Uh,
I'm going to get it for you for just for a second. So Dominic's favorite one, or one of Dominic's favorite ones for personal growth, is your entire life will change the moment you stop waiting for things that you want in life and start acting to make those things reality.
with the assist, the man takes the mantle. I
The alley
appreciate
oop.
that. Alley-oop, baby, let's go. Yeah, no, that's a solid one. That's a solid. Yeah, waiting on anything in life is usually not a good idea unless it's compounding interest, right? Unless you're invested already, you're just waiting for time to go by for your investment to grow, right? That's different.
Yeah. I say that we just do one of each one of these ones,
Okay.
just in the interest of time for our audience member.
Yeah.
So my favorite one for personal growth was stop waiting for the perfect moment and start making the ordinary moments perfect. So many of us we wait, we hope that like, oh, if I get to the top of this mountain, I'll finally be happy. If I get to this place, I'll finally be happy. If I get this car, I'll be happy. This house, this promotion, this whatever. And you realize that you can look around your house right now or look around the room you're in and look at all the things that you thought that once I get this thing, I'll finally be happy. And look at that thing and realize that that thing didn't make you happy because it was an illusion that your brain created.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know for Dominic, he has this beautiful monitor that he looks at. And he finally thought, once I get it, I'll finally be happy. But
Dude.
happiness is not a destination. It is a choice that is made in every single moment of life. You can choose to be happy by just being present right now with this podcast, with us talking in your ears. You can look around and just realize that everything you need in life is right here, right now.
Absolutely.
And it's strange to come to that realization, but when you do, I swear to God, it's one of the happiest and most sad moments you'll ever have. Happiest because you realize that everything you need is right here, right now. And saddest because you realize that you have wasted your entire life trying to get to a place to realize that you were there the whole time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a different level of regret. Then the real sadness kicks in.
Yeah.
That's gonna be even harder to be happy. Yeah, so with that being said, health and well-being. Next segment. How about that? I swear that is not a joke. That is not a bit we're doing. That was actually the next segment. So I like this one. This is a good one. So I'm gonna read this one. So my life started changing when I stopped tolerating people who tear me down. And I prefer to be with people who lift me up. Right? I'm sure we can all count at least maybe one person who lifts you up and who tears you down, you know? It is not fun being in that presence of the people who tear you down. And why do we do it? Why do we do it? I don't know. So I'm not going to say, that today's mission statement or action statement is to cut off a friend. I'm not going to be that harsh with it. But really evaluate your circle, right? Evaluate who you're spending time with. And yeah, it's so important. It's so important. It's so important who you hang out with and how they
Yeah.
affect you.
And even, instead of it also like the people you're spending your time with, you also spend so much time with yourself. And how much do we tear ourselves down? And would you accept that from somebody else? The way that you speak to yourself is often 10 times worse than you would ever let anyone speak to you.
Yeah,
So build yourself up too. I think so
yeah,
many people, we think if I'm hard on myself, that means that I'm going to have to grow because I'm hard on myself. But if you keep on tearing yourself down, most people don't grow. They end up just shutting down because they never end up getting where they want to be. We end up rising when people believe in us.
yeah.
We don't rise when people think we're going to fail.
No,
And that's what people who are being mean to you, who treat you, who talk down to you, they're treating you like you're going to fail. And you're going to rise to the level of what they think you're going to make it to, which is a failure, rather than
100%.
someone who believes in your success. Then you're going to rise to the level of success they believe in for you.
Yeah.
And more importantly, believe it in yourself. Talk to yourself the way that you would want your friend to talk to you, the way that you would want to surround yourself with people who speak good things into your life. Do that for yourself. Be that person in your own life too. And surround yourself with people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Did you want to say your next point?
Yeah, let's move on to segment 4, empowerment in action.
Go.
So for empowerment, just remember that empowerment really means taking control of your life. And I think taking control of your life, your entire life will change the moment that you stop taking everyone else's advice and start taking your own.
We have all the information to the test. There's no sense failing the test with all the answers. Simple as that.
Yep.
Employ
And I
your
think
own strategies, employ your own knowledge, and take action on what you know. There's no sense waiting to gain more knowledge if you're not going to use it. Because, like we talk about in the podcast, knowledge without action is just entertainment.
And I would say that your body has internal wisdom. So sometimes if you don't know what the right decision is, just listen to your gut. Like that has really helped me a lot, being able to learn to listen to that. It's also good to listen to other people, bring in counter things. But just because someone that you brought in who might be a professional tells you this is what you need to do, if you don't feel that it's right for you, you don't have to do it.
So important to listen to that inner monologue and train that inner monologue. The more you listen to it, the louder it gets. Yeah. Should I say my next one or should we get to viewer mailbag? I have one more.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. I think so too. So one of my other favorite ones for segment 4, empowering and action, was stop worrying about the opinions of haters and start stacking evidence to prove them wrong. And sometimes, oftentimes, your biggest hater is yourself. Sometimes you have to build that resume of success for yourself to remind yourself that when those demons start coming, when you start having those negative thoughts, I'm not this, I'm not that. No, no, no. I did this. I did that. Look how great I am. Not because of everybody else. I beat everybody else. No, because I beat myself and I won. I woke up early today. I won that victory. I started going to the gym. I started eating a little bit healthier. It's not so much the external hate, but the internal hate that we need to worry about as well.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think this is so hard, especially for young people now who grew up in the age of social media. Every time you post something, even if you're posting like, "Hey, I woke up today at this time," you're going to have maybe 99 comments of people like, "Great for you." But you're going to
Yeah,
have one or two comments of some asshole who's just going to be a hater no matter what you do. And we all have a bias to focus on the negative because it's what kept us alive. We all are descendants of people who focus on the negative, and because that's what kept them alive. That's what allowed them to pass their genes on. We all come from survivors, people that won the game, people that survived in order to pass on their genes. So, so many people, young people especially, they'll focus on the one negative person. They'll focus on that hater and they let that negative voice get into their own brain. And it
yeah,
stops so many people from being willing to take chances, being willing to do other things because we're afraid of upsetting somebody who's behind a keyboard, someone who wouldn't say those things to our face, most likely. I think we need to go back to the days where you talk shit, you get hit. Like, I think
honestly.
I remember being in the kid of the 90s, like, that's how it was. Like, if you wanted to say something, you had to say it to somebody's face.
Yeah,
And if you said it to somebody's face, it came with a consequence. And I don't know. I'm not saying that people should be getting hit or we run around punching each other, but it definitely set up for more normal life because
yeah,
so many people are afraid to take chances because they're afraid of what people will say to them online. When at the end of the
absolutely.
day, does it really matter? I don't know.
People say a lot of stuff and there's no consequences for that. I'm not saying we should cancel everybody, but actions have consequences.
Yeah. I always like the old quote, opinions are like assholes. Everyone has them and they all stink.
Ew, that's so foul. That's foul. Oh man, that's really funny though. So with that being said, we're going to move on to viewer mailbag, our 5 Friday feedback viewer mailbag. This is the segment where we get letters, we get emails from the community, and they wish for us to read it out and give our advice on it. If, and I don't want to wrap this again, but I will. If you haven't already listened to Monday's podcast, I highly recommend it. And if you're not already subscribed, hit that subscribe button. With that being said,
So
let's get on to 5 Friday feedback, viewer mailbag. Howdy, Fi Guys. Howdy. How can I build a better future for my son and myself? Please don't judge me too harshly for the choices I've made in the past. I know I shouldn't have committed a crime, and I take full responsibility for my actions. My offense was a drug possession charge back in 2014. Unfortunately, despite the years past, it has not been expunged, and that isn't an option for me at this time. My child's father passed away. Sorry to hear about that.
wow.
Leaving me to raise our son all by myself. For as long as I can remember, I've worked as a server and a bartender, just trying to make ends meet. I was close to finishing my degree in human services with just one semester away, but without the support system I needed, I've had to put my education on hold. Cost of living is insane, and working two jobs is barely enough to keep our heads above water. I want so badly to provide a better life for my son, and I'm at the point where I'm seeking any advice on a career path that could offer stability and growth. I've always had a passion for helping others, which is why I was drawn to human services. That's nice. But I've come to realize that even if I complete my degree, jobs in counseling and social services wouldn't make enough for us to even afford a small 2-bedroom apartment. It's disheartening because I truly want to make a difference, not only for my family, but for those who might be struggling in the same way I did.
Before we go on in reading, I see there's a few things. I first just want to commend our writer here or our listener for the courage to reach out and share this story. Like it must be really difficult to first realize like, hey, I made a mistake. and to be willing to admit that and to try to move forward. It's really clear to me that this person is facing significant challenges, and I can see that they have determination to provide a better life to not only themselves but also to their son. And I think that's so truly inspiring, to not let these generational sins continue to persist, that they want to break it with themselves. And that means they have to put in the hard work now. So I just want to commend them before we go on with the letter, that you're already taking a huge step by seeking advice and looking for a new opportunity, which is, before we even get into more of it, something already to be extremely proud of. So I
Absolutely.
already commend you before we even give you any more advice.
100%. My criminal record has been a significant barrier. I'm unable to work in healthcare, around children, or in any security related fields. Being a veterinarian tech was a lifelong dream of mine, but unfortunately that door is closed because of my past.
Yeah, before we go on, let's stop again. So I understand that, like, given the situation, that maybe finding the right quote unquote career path is going to feel really daunting to you. And it is. Like, you're going to be in a harder situation than most people are. And it's true that certain fields might be more challenging for you to enter because of the past that you have. But there are still a bunch of different avenues that we can talk about that are still open to you, that can provide stability, growth, and most importantly, the sense of fulfillment that I think that you want, in order to provide not only for yourself, but more importantly for your son. So let's
Absolutely.
go on and see what else she has to say.
Life has been incredibly difficult, but I'm determined to break the cycle of addiction and generational trauma that has plagued my family. I want to be the one who turns things around, not just for my son, but for future generations.
Let's pause it again.
Okay.
I'm just really glad to hear that. Like, it sounds to me like you understand that your past doesn't define you. And more importantly, the resilience you've shown in raising your son and working tirelessly, working two jobs in order just to put a roof over your head, really speaks volumes to your character, and more importantly, to the potential that you have in putting your best foot forward and really working to build a better life. I think with the right decision and the right support, like, I have zero doubt in my mind, based off what you put here, that you have the ability to build a better life that has both the personal satisfaction and the financial stability that you're looking for. I think you just need someone to believe in you and to kind of show you the way. You need to surround yourself with people that believe in you, and you need to believe in yourself. Because just based off what I'm seeing right here, and I know there's still a little bit more that you have to say in your letter, I really think the sky's the limit for you, but
Mhm.
you're going to have to put in the work. So let's go on.
Continuing on, I'm not very tech savvy, but I've heard that the tech industry is saturated anyway, so I'm not really sure if that's a viable path for me. But I am desperate for guidance and any help, really. Recently, I found a program that could cover the cost of a certification or license that might help me secure a better job and improve our lives. However, I'm unsure of which direction to take. I'm open to anything, any advice, any ideas that could steer me towards a career path where I can finally achieve some stability and peace of mind for my family. If you can think of something, anything really, that I haven't considered, I would be incredibly grateful for your input. Thank you for taking the time to read my story. Your advice could spark the change for our lives for the better. Sincerely, from the past I break free, striving for a better life for my son and me.
For our listeners who aren't this listener, I just want you to remember that, like, when you think your life is really, really challenging, there is somebody else out there who has a way more challenging story than you do. Sometimes I
100%.
like to think that my life is really, really tough. But when I hear stories like this, it really puts things into perspective. That, yeah, things are tough for me too, but nothing compared to this. So before I get into what I think might be some good ideas for her, Dom, do you have any thoughts for ways that she might be able to find a better job, increase her income, maybe
Yeah.
decrease her
Yeah.
her
100%.
expenses? I don't know.
100%. Yeah. I mean, first things first, cutting any expenses that aren't 100% necessary. That's step one, right? Step two is maybe you can ask for a raise at your two jobs. That would be my next step. That would be the easiest step, I think. Um, doesn't sound like you have a lot of time for side hustles, so I don't think I would do that. I would take the extra time and spend it with the son, because spending time with your kids is super important. Um, but I would also definitely look for another job, see if you can maybe get a certificate like you talked about. Yeah, that's probably what I would say. What about you, Chris? What do you think?
Yeah, I would definitely echo what you said there when it comes down to cut out all unnecessary expenses. Of course, asking for a raise is usually going to be a good, easy step that's there. But I think she said she's currently bartending, or at least has been a bartender in the past. And that's there's really not a lot they can do. You can always try to work harder for tips, but I'm sure she's already doing all those things. Like if you're reaching out, I think you've tried all of that. I would hope. Where my brain goes is just because of her past. I think, and this is something that most women don't think about, but they're really good jobs like trade or skilled labor jobs. I understand like it really is a boys club, and that's probably going to be a little bit harder. So I can't really speak to that. But trades like plumbing, electrical work, HVAC, even carpentry, like they pay really, really well. They're extremely high demand all around the country. And more importantly, many of the trades even offer certificate programs, and they'll pay you in order to go and get that certificate. And they'll pay for financial assistance or apprenticeships. So they'll pay you while you go through that. And I'm sure if you come to them, you tell them like, hey, I want to do this for my son. Like, I can't think of someone who would be like, oh, a woman? Like, no, we don't want that. And if you do, then you don't want to work in that place anyway. So
No.
find a better place. But there are so many different trade jobs that offer really, really good money. And like not even just this person, but to so many people who like maybe college isn't the right career path or they need money right now. Trade work is really good work. I think there's just so much of a stigma against it because people have put a stigma against it that shouldn't be there.
No, no, I would agree. I would agree with that. I would agree with that.
You know, another option, if maybe trade or like skilled labor, like maybe manual labor doesn't sound like your thing, you always have the ability to do like administrative work. So I know you said you're not really tech savvy, but there's office roles such as like administrative assistant. I know data entry is kind of going away because of ChatGPT and generative AI, but customer service is always a good fit for people that you can actually kind of rise through the ranks, start at the bottom and then go up to management and stuff like that. Oftentimes from what I hear, bartending really doesn't, there's really not levels to that. People that are the bartenders obviously oftentimes don't become the managers of the store. It's usually a different track that'll do that. Bartending is kind of just you're kind of stuck there. From what I've heard, what I've seen working with people. I think the certification thing is a really good idea. I don't know what the certification is in, so I would just say if that's the choice you want to go with, definitely make sure that there's jobs in that certification program, especially if they're trying to pay you to do that. For someone like you, I think that if you want to go back to school, you can always investigate financial aid for returning to school because that would definitely be present for you given your probably low income. So you can invest or look at scholarships, grants, state or federal programs that could cover, if not most of tuition, all of it for you to finish up your human resources or your human services degree. Because if you're only one semester away, I think there's kind of a sunk cost there that you've already put in so much time. A little bit more time, you could get that job and at least have that degree. And that degree, while may not be able to open up everything to you, it'll definitely open up more doors than you currently have available to you. The final thing that I would say is probably you might want to look maybe into the nonprofit sector. So while some roles might be restricted to you due to your past, there are so many positions in the nonprofit sector where they really experience or really value experience and passion over traditional credentials. So with you having your background in what you do, your ability to do community outreach, to talk about fundraising, to talk about your program coordination could be something that could really set you apart because no one has your story. And your story means everything when it comes to going out there and like helping people. And worst case scenario, you can always go to a career counselor and just let them know your story and just let them know that you're looking for growth. But I really hope that at least one of these ideas have resonated to you and maybe shown you that there might be a different path than what
Mhm.
you see. Because I think you might have some blind spots right now. And that's okay. We all have blind spots. And by definition, you can't see them because they are your blind spots. But I'd be happy to discuss this with you further. You can always reach out to Chris at monsonwealth.com and just know that you're not alone in this journey. And it's going to take determination, but I can see that you've already shown that you have that determination. And I'm confident you can find the right path. So from here in Arizona, Dom and I hope Dominic, you would agree with this.
Yep,
I wish you the strength and success in the next step that you take in your life. And I know that you're going to make it.
absolutely. Best of luck and best wishes. We hope to hear back from you when you're on the other side. With that being said, we're going to get on to win of the week. My win of the week was that I went to the dentist. I had no cavities. They said my teeth looks pretty good. That's my win of the week.
Nice. I remember being a kid and like going and getting no cavities, and they let you like choose from the like kid
And
treasure chest or like
yeah,
candy or something like that.
what a scam.
I know.
They're trying to, that's,
They're
what are
trying
they
to
trying to
they're trying
pull?
to gamify no cavities by giving you candy to give you cavities next time.
The audacity. What's your
The
win of the week,
audacity.
Chris?
My win of the week was I was approved for a new Hyatt card, and I actually received it just a few days ago. So this card was only $95 annual fee, but when I spend the intro offer, I'll get 60,000 points, which we plan on using for a trip next year to go back to Mexico with some of our friends from Texas. So $95, and we should be able to derive about $2,000, $1,800 worth of value once we use the points correctly
Absolutely.
to,
Oh,
to
that's
go to
exciting.
Mexico.
That's exciting. We love that. We love a good credit card hack. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Well, guys, if you did enjoy today's podcast, which I hope you did, give it a like, tell a friend about it, subscribe if you are not already subscribed. I'm Dom. He's Chris. Fee for the show. Do we have a fee for the show, Chris?
No, it's not really a fee. It's more of a favor if you found value today. If you found value today, please go ahead and spread the word about the Fi Guys. Tell somebody about this movement that we're trying to do. Bring a friend along for this journey because I can promise you it is a lot more fun if you get to Fi with somebody else. And I guarantee you'll go a lot farther if you have a friend to bounce ideas off of, a friend to talk about the Fi Guys with, just a friend that is in this journey with you. Because financial dependence, it is unorthodox. Most people aren't doing this. Most people aren't trying to spend less money, save more money, work on building themselves up in every single conceivable way that they possibly can. So bring other people along for the journey because it's going to be a lot more fun for you.
Absolutely.
And
That
if
being
you can't
said,
find anyone, know that we're here for you.
exactly. That being said, guys, hope you guys have a great weekend. See you in the next one. Peace.
Later.
This video podcast is sponsored by Monzon Wealth. The content in this podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered financial advice. We do not endorse specific products or services. Past performance does not guarantee future results. The opinions expressed are those of the host and guests, not the podcast sponsor. It is crucial to consult with a qualified financial advisor or professional who can provide advice tailored to your specific needs before making any financial decisions, investments, or taking any other actions. If you are seeking specified help, you can reach out to Chris at monzonwealth.com.